everyone, my name is Kamani Anderson and welcome back on another episode of Beneath the Surface. And today I'm here with
Johnna Hill, a junior from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, who's on the Morgan State women's bowling team.
Well, thank you for joining me here today. How are you doing today and how is the semester going on so far? I know we are in midterms week, so how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I've been doing really good on my midterms so far, and today's been a nice, productive day. So
that's good. So first thing is we're going to just step in to get to know you as a student life here and how your time here at Morgan been for the past 3 years. So first thing is, what is your major and why did you choose it?
So my major is accounting, and the reason that I chose it is because I knew I wanted something in numbers and detail orientation, but I also chose it because in accounting you need a lot of critical thinking skills, so it was a place for me to grow in that aspect.
So could you say math is like your strong suit? Because I know math is like, me and math don't really mix that well. So could you say math is like one of your like strong suits, like when it comes to academics?
Yes.
So people could come to you if they have problems with like their calculus class or pre-calc class, anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I enjoy working with numbers a lot. Yeah.
Look, I know that for me when I take my calculus class. What is the best time of year here at Morgan for you?
I would say the best time of the year is whenever we start competing. I like to see, the direction that things are going to go, like in the fall time, and overall, it's hoodie season. So I like my hoodie season.
So quick question. For those of people who don't know, do y'all play like practically the whole academic school year, or do y'all play like either in just fall, spring, or winter?
It goes from fall until spring. So usually we'll start like first week in October, official season, and then we'll go March, April-ish, depending on the events we do.
Okay. So what is your favorite Morgan memory?
My favorite Morgan memory? I would say, like, if I could, I would say my whole freshman season. I loved my freshman season.
Yeah, your freshman season was one. We're going to dive into that one.
But overall, like, to bring what I did to MEAC freshman season and, to really serve as a great member of the team in that particular year, that was my favorite memory overall.
Amazing. So being that you are a junior and a student athlete, what is some advice you can give to incoming freshmen?
Incoming freshmen, I would say some of the most important things are your time management.
Yes.
You need to be able to, give your full attention here, give your full attention here. So time management, organization, and I would say stay true to yourself, because there's going to be a lot of pressures. There's going to be, different incentives thrown your way. So remain and stick to your morals and what you believe in.
Okay. So now that you are in your third year, how did you feel about coming into college? Because as a freshman, we know leaving high school, we're leaving home. How did you feel about, you're coming from Pittsburgh, so how did you feel about coming all the way to Maryland, which is about a couple hours away?
I was interested to see how Baltimore in particular would be, and I found out there's a lot of key differences between the atmosphere in Baltimore and Pittsburgh, but what really prepared me was I decided to take a couple gap years to work and kind of experience independence really heavily, so that made it easier to transition from Pittsburgh to here and kind of navigate and figure it out here.
That's actually smart to take a gap year. I wish I did that. Okay, so what are some things you have learned in your major classes? So you're an accounting major, and we know sometimes we don't really start our accounting class. Our major requirement classes until our junior. So what is a couple of things you have learned?
So one thing I've learned is that with accounting, it's all about the way that you're going into it, like your mindset and approaching a business situation.
Okay.
So I've had to totally, alter the way I think about a business. Like, you're used to thinking of it from a consumer standpoint, but now you have to think of it, okay, I need to account for how the business is looking at transactions.
Okay. That's smart.
And then in particular, most recent, what really stuck out to me is learning how to account for like manufacturing companies. I'm looking for internships in that because it really resonates with me, and it's been interesting to see how they do that.
Okay. So you are now into your junior year. What is the biggest learning experience you've had so far?
The biggest learning experience and life lesson is to be persistent and really go after what you want. I've found that things can be very competitive academically and in sports, so reaching for those opportunities and making sure you don't let them pass you by and wait for people to come to you. I've learned how to be not forceful, but go after what I want, but do it in a way that's professional and considerate.
Amazing. So, what is one biggest challenge from being on the bowling team?
I would say my biggest challenge is that I'm very used to on the lanes, it's kind of me, and I'm more introverted, and I don't like to be quite as expressive.
Okay.
You know, I'm more of a in the zone, locked in type.
Yeah, so like you don't like to express it that much. Like you like, let me focus on the win and then I'll celebrate later.
Yeah, like I kind of put the large emotions
Yes.
later, you know, because I want to be very even. And I've kind of used that to my advantage because with teammates, like say we're in a really dire situation, since I'm not the emotional person, if I express that large emotion like at a time, they're going to pay attention and that's going to get them excited.
Yes, that's a good way to come in. So, as we close out to know you as your student life, if you could give any advice to a student, what would it be?
I would say if I could give any advice to a student, it would be everything happens for a reason. You know, I firmly believe in fate and I firmly believe you should go after what you want, but I believe we all have a plan that's in store for us, so, you know, let things happen and trust your process.
Okay. So now we are going to step into the sports side to get to know you as a bowler and just to learn more about bowling, because a lot of us don't really know like the rules and regulations of bowling, so we're just going to learn and get to know. So what is the practice process like?
So with practice, you know, I like to focus on the physical and mental, but, you know, physically you want to work on aspects of your form head to toe, making sure, you know, you're locking in muscle memory, and you're doing things that are conducive to consistency and also longevity, like to preserve your body.
So I have how does the scoring work in bowling? Like, because like we know it's 10, so like just a quick question, like how does that work? Like, what is the highest you can get, like, when competing on a collegiate level?
So the highest score you can get traditionally, and also Baker, is 300.
Okay.
Yeah. So in traditional play, you know, it's your own score and you're throwing all the shots. But in Baker format, you're bowling 10 frames, but it's as a collective. So all 5 members contribute to the game. So it's very interesting to see how each go.
So what brought you to bowling and who did you learn from?
So when I was 5 years old, I remember I was bowling with my family, just kind of messing around, and this guy came up, you know, a coach of mine now, he said, "Do you guys want to join our junior league?" And I said, "Yeah, like I'll give it a shot." And
you were only 5.
Yeah, and so it was a little overwhelming at first, but you know, over time I did it consistently, and then I took up tennis as well for a short period, but I quickly realized like I'm going to focus in on bowling, and once I did, that's when things really started to pick up for me.
That's so great. So, being that you guys are in season right now, which team do you look most forward to competing against this season?
You know, I look forward to seeing them compete against all of your top 5s because, you know, that's kind of the indicator of, like, how we're progressing, like how close are we getting to, you know, tasting that victory from them. I know last year there was one team that was top 10 we actually did take a match from, which was really exciting, and one where we came close, you know, where they're top 4, so it's a good indicator.
So we spoke earlier about your freshman year. So as a rookie standout, you earned significant rewards and recognition for the phenomenal year you had. You were MEAC Rookie of the Week 4 times. You placed in the top 25 in the NCTA and earning the Morgan State University Female Athlete of the Year. First off, congratulations on your accomplishments. Can you describe the emotion and sense of accomplishments you felt as you achieved those remarkable milestones as only a freshman? Because as a freshman, you're competing against several different female athletes at Morgan. So just describe that experience for us.
Yeah, so all of those as a collective, you know, like to be the first that was like MEAC Rookie of the Year and do all these firsts, it means so much to me because for the sport of bowling, like to bring attention, you know, especially for like programs that deserve more recognition.
Yes.
And also, you know, to make some sort of history and people can read about my experiences and what bowling has done for me in this aspect and say, you know, I want to explore bowling and I want to know what it's going to bring to me as a person, because without bowling, I wouldn't have been able to do any of this. I wouldn't be here. So
bowling is your way to college, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what have you been practicing on to get ready as the season continues, from your form to your footwork? Like, what are just some things you've been practicing with?
Yeah, so this is a developmental season for me, so what I'm really working on is like reinforcing the things I learned over the summer. I worked on decreasing my drift in my footwork for a little more consistency. I also worked on making sure, like we call it staying in the hole, like where you finish at the line real solid and keep things down, like you don't hop up as much, if that makes sense. So I wanted to reinforce those points. But I'm also making sure I continue to push outside of my comfort zone with things like hand position or targeting, like moving on parts of the lane where I'm the most uncomfortable, so I can make sure I'm always challenging. Because they say you want to have an A, B, C game.
Yeah.
No, I want them all to be my A game at some point.
So, what do you have any pregame like rituals or superstitions that you do before the game? Because we know as an athlete, like we do certain things and we like, oh, if I won this game and I did that thing the whole day, like I'm going to consistently do that on game day. So what are your pregame rituals?
So as of late, and I practiced this last season, I have a notebook where I do positive affirmations, and I like to do things that I'm going to focus on in the match. Even though I'm competing, I like mentally to focus on something, to keep me in it. And then I also like to listen to music. Like I have certain songs I like to get me amped up, and then really focus on breathing and, getting myself in the mindset to go out there and attack things.
So as we close out the sports section of this interview, I just have one final question for you. So your freshman year, you were invited to the West Coast to play in the Intercollegiate Singles Championship. How was that? How was that experience? Because being that Morgan, like bowling isn't like one of like the top sports that people really recognize. So how was that experience going to the West Coast and representing Morgan State?
I want to say first, like when you get to, a location like, the Alley in Vegas, you kind of just have to take it in because it's like, like a stadium. So, you look at yourself and you look at the pictures and you're like, wow, like I was there. Like it's surreal sometimes to look at, and to see the people around you, that you looked up to and said, I want to be where she's. Like now you're with them. So overall, the experience was great. Especially to come out of it the way I did, like receiving top qualifier. I went in and I was like, this is my first time, and I don't have the expectation of like, I absolutely have to win this. So to do all that, I felt so blessed, and also to have, our former coach there, Coach Falbo, to be there, as he was going to retire. Like, I had my family, I had him. So the support and to be able to do what I did with the experience, it really stood out to me and showed me what I can do as a bowler.
That's amazing. Well, congratulations again for going to Vegas, because that is a big thing. Like, for you to go all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast, that's just a big thing in my opinion. So I feel like I just had to give you your flowers.
Yeah, bowling, it's crazy to see where like something like bowling will take you.
Exactly.
That's the furthest I've gone for bowling up to this point, but it's crazy. Like you think back to, like I said, when I was 5 years old and look at where we're at now, you know?
So now we're going to step into the pop culture side, just to like loosen it up, get to know you on who you are outside being a bowler.
Okay.
So first thing first is, what is your favorite social media at the moment?
I use Instagram a lot.
I don't blame you. I was like, that's such a common, because like it becomes addicting. Either that or like TikTok. It's really addicting.
I have not tried TikTok.
Are you serious?
No, I like to get the overspill from TikTok on Instagram. I don't want to go too deep into TikTok.
You're like the fifth person I heard who says, I don't be on TikTok. And I was like, we need to get people on TikTok. Even though TikTok's going to get shut down, like, you still need to get on TikTok. We got to get you on TikTok. Favorite movie or TV show?
I would say, like, any TV show that has to do with, like crime, like documentaries and stuff like that. And like, kind of one of the ones I'll turn on like just to watch is like The First 48, stuff like that.
First 48 is good.
I know.
I watched the Atlanta one, and they still ain't find a girl killer. They still trying to find her killer. You watch Law and Order?
I have not taken a crack at that, but I definitely need to.
Watch that. Like, if anything, I recommend watching like Law and Order and NCIS. Those are like two good shows. Those are two good ones.
But my favorite Netflix series like I ever watched was The Walking Dead.
Ooh,
Like,
I never got into that.
I love horror. I love psychological horror that makes you think, but I also like, series like that have edge to them.
Okay.
I really love that.
I don't think I'm into that one just yet. So, what is your favorite holiday and tradition?
I would say my favorite holiday is Thanksgiving because it has that really like homey feeling to me. Like usually we'll go to Zanesville, Ohio, where my dad's family's from, and to sit down like wherever with that plate, like nothing beats that. No.
So, what's your favorite Thanksgiving dish, like or food? Like one thing that has to be on your plate.
The mac and cheese has to be there.
That's like a staple.
Yeah, and here's the thing, you might get upset, but I don't really like turkey that much.
I don't like turkey either.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
you're valid.
I don't like turkey. I just don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, so my family will make ham and love the ham. Yeah.
I mix my ham and like my sweet potatoes together.
I'm inspired.
The mac and cheese it's at the same time.
Ooh.
It sounds nasty, but it's like really good. It's because the ham is sweet and then like the sweet potatoes and it has marshmallows on top and that's sweet too, and then you just mix the mac and cheese with it. That's good.
Oh, I'm doing that this year.
That's good.
I'm doing it.
What is the most interesting place you've visited so far, and where would you like to visit next?
The most interesting place I've gone was Las Vegas. Because I've gone to like some of the neighboring states, like Ohio, and some near us now, Maryland, North Carolina. But to get a taste of the West Coast, that was super interesting because I got a sense of their culture over there, and also just the lifestyle and kind of seeing more. I was happy to step outside of my comfort zone in that way.
So last question for the pop culture is, what is your favorite food?
My favorite food, I would say shrimp. Seafood does it for me.
That's the one.
No, when I came to Maryland, one of the things that I discovered, I should have thought about it, was like the seafood boils, everything like that. It gets me right. Oh,
the seafood boils be good. It depends where you get them from. Like you got to go to certain places. So now we're going to step into the miscellaneous questions just to get to know you. We've done a lot of research on you. So,
okay. How
do you keep such a high GPA as being a student athlete?
As far as the high GPA goes, I'm very used to it because, I hold myself to a high standard. But what really helps me is to sit down, like, at the beginning of the week, or if I realize, like, I've got a lot of responsibilities in the next few days, I need to sit down and I need to plan it out, write it out, schedule it so that I have a plan in my head and also leave room for if there's an issue with an assignment, something like that. I really like to get things done at least a day in advance so that I know I'll be okay.
I think that's one thing I learned my junior year is I do it early. Because if you do it early, like, and you wait till last minute, it's just not going to help you. Like, my freshman year, I think that was, like, one of the big things. I was like, I wait till last minute. And then, like, I got to email professor at 8 o'clock at night. They're not answering email. So it's like, that's one thing I would say is doing your assignments early is like so beneficial. It's so helpful.
And then also, like, I would say to not give up or like give in to different things because, fun fact, I believe it was my sophomore year, there was a course where I failed the midterm. And I was like, ooh, like this brought me down to like, I think it was like an 85, but I'm like, no, I got to shoot for this A.
Yeah.
So, through the professor and, through the assignments, I didn't give up, and that got me to the A. So
that's a blessing.
Yeah.
So I did a little research on you, and I see like you're really into nature. So the first thing is how long have you been riding horses?
Okay, I started taking equestrian lessons when I was 10, and I learned everything I wanted to know in the next years. Like, once they got to showmanship and stuff like that, where I'm like, that's cool, but, I want to stick to just riding for now. So, I learned how to, I think the most I ever did was, like, I jumped, like, where they have 3 poles.
Okay.
Like, jumped that. Yeah.
So, like, I want to ride horses. Like, this is on my bucket list.
Really?
Like, I've been dying to ride horses. So, like, what is one advice you would give me if I go when I want to ride the horse?
What I always tell people is if they feel you're not confident and that you're not showing like who's boss, they're gonna run you around and they're gonna do what they want. So, although people were like, I don't want to hurt the horse, this and that. You want to make sure you're being respectful and doing different things, but make sure, the horse knows that you're in charge, but you're also here, for you and the horse to have a good time together.
Yeah. What is the best advice you've ever received?
The best advice I've ever received comes from my dad, who's been an amazing support to me through this whole process. He always says to me, whether it's during bowling or anything, either throw it or do it like you mean it.
Okay.
Do things intentionally. That advice replays in my head whenever I do things, and it's something I'll carry with me forever.
That is amazing. Shout out to your dad for that. What is your favorite professional sports team?
Oh, my favorite professional sports team, that's a bit of a tough one because whenever the Professional Bowlers Association does their teams, when they do it, they have a variety of players, and there's different players on each team I like. So I really can't give a definitive answer to that. I'm sorry.
It's okay. When you're not at practice, what could your teammates or friends find you doing?
Well, either you could find me, taking a walk, like being in nature, like you said, or you could find me at home, watching a movie. I do like my time at home to kind of...
That's understandable. That's very understandable.
And then, here, I found some good spots here, but I do love to fish. So you can probably find me, through whatever hours out there casting, trying to get
You are really into nature.
Yeah.
You are, because, when you said fishing, I'm like, no.
No, you don't want to.
I don't think, I would go camping. Let me phrase it. I would go glamping, I would do that, but me roughing it in the woods.
Well, see, my family, I think my kind of love for it comes from the fact that my family on my mother's side has a hunting cabin.
That's actually pretty good. That's fire.
Thanks. And it's in Elk County, Pennsylvania, and one day I might have ownership in it, which would be great. But up there, in the camp, even though it's a structure, you have no running water, you go outside to do everything. So I'm very accustomed to that. And that place in particular, it really sparked my love of nature because of all the positive memories we've made. I kind of associate with it, but it's also shown me the beauty, and what just pure earth has to offer.
That's amazing. I might do that. Maybe after college. I might take
Highly recommend.
I might. So who do you model your game after?
There's a PWB player. Whenever I was developing my release, her name is Daria Pike, and I really studied her release because she gets really good wrist action, and she's really solid at the line. But overall, my fundamentals have come from a variety of coaches over the years. So, I've picked up bits and pieces from them, but at this point, I'm looking for customization that provides the longevity for me, but, I'm sticking to where I'm at right now. So other than her, it's about what I'm comfortable with.
That's great. If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be and why?
One thing, and I'm actually working on this, changing it, is I tend to overthink things because I really want to do well and I really want things to go away. So, sometimes I've overthought to the point where I get in my own way. And I don't just sit down and say, okay, we're going to do this. When I'm fully capable, I want to overthink and make sure it's good. So I'm really trying to work on, relaxing and just focusing on what's in front of me as opposed to kind of the what ifs and everything like that, just to make it easier for me.
That's so great. I really wish you the best because overthinking really does, it be winning sometimes. But you can't let it win. You can't just let it win. Who is someone you admire the most?
I would say, I'm going to go back to my father. I admire, the way that with people he's able to communicate and help, but also stand for what he wants. And I really admire how, he's willing to make sacrifices for those he cares about. Like, a little personal, but whenever my mother passed away when I was young, to see him step up and to see him, still be there for us, at a very hard time in his life and provide us the life that we have had and that we have. I look up to that so much, and I can't thank him enough for where I'm at right now.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. What is your most prized possession?
Oh, my most prized possession. My most prized possession, is probably a bowling ball that I own. It's gotta be.
As a bowler, it has to be something.
Yeah, I have this bowling ball, and I kept it because it was the first time in high school that I ever won a title, and it's the bowling ball that I pretty much used my whole freshman year. Like, because in high school, my freshman year was that moment where myself, my dad, my support system realized, like, we could do something with this.
Yeah.
So that bowling ball, for me symbolizes the growth. It symbolizes, a significant time in my life. And even though I don't use it anymore because it doesn't fit my hand, it's too light, like stuff like that, I'm always going to keep it. I can't put a price on it.
So if you don't mind me asking, what was that title you won in high school?
So I was the 2018 WPIBL singles champion. It felt, when I said like Vegas and stuff felt surreal, no, this was, I didn't imagine I could do this.
Yeah.
And to be, top of the field, take the victory, it really demonstrated and kind of put my name out there. Like, it was a really good stepping point for me, so.
That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Last question as we close out this episode of Beneath the Surface. What was your first impression when meeting your head coach?
My first impression when I met Coach Franklin, the coach we have now, is that, he was very ambitious in coming from NIAA to NCAA, and so I really respected that. And I also saw that, he kind of had, like, dad energy. Like, he kind of approached it like, would be like his daughter. So I really appreciated that we could get to know him and have a relationship with him on a more personal level. But I also knew, like, when it came to on the lanes, off the lanes, he was about business. Like, and he straight up said, like, academics are going to come first. And, so I really appreciated that he wasn't just about, your bowlers. Like, he wanted us to be well-rounded individuals, because he realizes we're not only maybe entering the bowling world more, but we're going to enter the workforce. We're going to enter, normal society. So I really appreciated that from him.
Well, thank you for joining us here today on Beneath the Surface. My name is Kamani Anderson, and tune in for the next episode of Beneath the Surface.